Chapter 24. Millennial Encounter. One day, a girl in her mid-20s by the name of Liuba came to one of these soulmate gatherings. She was wearing an embroidered linen blouse and a plaid skirt whose hem reached just below the knees. A small travel bag was slung on a strap over her shoulder, but it contained nothing more than a few rather plain outfits. The girl walked up and down the street in hopes of finding some sort of privately run lodging for the night. During the gatherings, all hotels, for both Russian and foreign visitors, and pension rooms had all been booked up in advance. Besides, Liuba could not afford an expensive hotel room, and so she was looking for plainer lodgings. But there was no chance of finding any privately run accommodation during the nuptial gatherings. With little hope of success, Liuba, I just don't like the way it rolls off my tongue, sorry. I don't know how to pronounce it. You know what? I'm going to look it up. I looked it up, and it's Luba. I can remember that. Okay. With little hope of success, Luba asked a woman who happened to be coming out of the gate in front of a private house. "Hello there. Could you tell me, please, whether you might have any rooms available in your house for overnight accommodation? I'm looking for something that's not too expensive." And the woman replied, Not much chance of that, dearie. Everything's been booked up for ages. All the visitors make arrangements in advance through the housing office. You're just wasting your time. You'd better head for the railway station, or you won't find a place to sit down even there. "Thanks for the advice. I'll probably do that," Luba responded, and headed down the street in the direction of the terminal. "Wait a minute, dearie. Come here," the woman called out, and Luba came back to her. "I'll tell you what you can do. Try knocking or ringing the bell 5 houses down. There's a doorbell right at the gate. Try ringing it. Maybe an old woman will come out, one that looks like Baba Yaga. She's Greek and has a hooked nose. My husband says that all Greek women are beautiful when they're young, but when they get old, they all end up looking like Baba Yoshkas." Footnote: Baba Yaga, also known as Baba Yoshka, a witch usually portrayed as an old hag with a crooked nose who, despite her threatening looks and habits, in the Christian period her image was often demonized to represent evil, actually offers help to the good and punishes the evil in traditional Slavic folk tales. Ha-ha! Anyway, dearie, you can ask and see if she's got any rooms. Before, when her husband was still alive, she used to have all sorts of people stop over. But he died, and she hasn't let a single person in these past 3 years now. Anyway, you can always try asking. She just might give you a room." "Thanks, I'll try," replied Luba. And she went along to the house the woman pointed out. She rang the bell once, and a minute later she tried it again, right at the gate, but nobody came out. Finally, after 10 minutes had gone by, the door creaked open, and a bent-over old woman came out. She came down the grapevine-lined path and opened the gate, groaning at every step. She started in speaking without any formalities of saying hello. "What are you knocking at my gate for, girl?" she asked with a tone of annoyance. "I wanted to ask you about a room. A kind lady, your neighbor, suggested I should." "She was not being no kind. She was laughing at you. I ain't got room for... I hain't had no roomers for ages." "I know. She told me that too. But I've been looking all day, and I haven't found anything, so I decided to ring your bell just on the off chance." "Just on off chance, eh? Well, you won't find any off chance with me. You've all come here just on off chance. So, just like everyone else, you have come here to find yourself a bloke?" "Yes, I want to meet my intended. Please, forgive me for bothering you. I'll head down to the station and spend the night there." It began to drizzle, and the old woman grumbled, "To hell with these girls, to hell with them." And now it started. Rain. "Fine, I will set you under this tent roof in my garden. There's a hammock there, and this bench, and nails for you to hang up your clothes. For this you'll pay me 500 rubles each night." 500? exclaimed Luba in surprise. "And just how much was you thinking it would be? What, you imagining that you're coming to visit your relations?" "All right, I'll give you 500, only I wanted to stay here for 10 days. Never mind, I'll just stay here for 5. I agree to your terms, Granny." Footnote: Granny, or Russian, babushka, a more or less respectful term of address to senior women. "Then come, you can see where you will sleep, and pay me this money each day in advance." 5 days went by. On the 5th morning, Luba began neatly packing her plain-looking clothing away in her bag. The old woman approached her, groaning and leaning on her cane. "You already started packing, eh, girl? You leaving?" "Yes, Granny, it's been 5 days now." 5 days? You got your ticket?" the old woman asked, sitting down on the bench. "Yes, I bought a single return ticket before I left home. The return is actually for 5 days from now, but I think I'll be able to exchange it at the station and get one for today or tomorrow." "No chance of that. Not with everyone and her dog coming and going around here these days. I'll tell you something, girl. You stay with me 5 days more till your ticket will be good." "I can't. I've got no more money left to pay you." "Don't worry. No need to pay. You just stay." "Thank you, Granny." "Thanks," she says. "Only your staying will not do you any good." "Why do you say that?" "I've been watching you. That is no way to look good for a bloke these days. Why are you up at dawn each day? What's the use? All blokes are still asleep that time of day. But you go to bed right early, right when all this partying begins. This is when you decide to go to bed each night. And these blokes keep partying till midnight while you're in bed at 10. Bless you, you dress like a nun, no makeup. This is no way to find a bloke today." "I'm preparing my body, you see, Granny, for my encounter with my intended, and so I try to maintain a strict daily routine. I don't make myself up so that he can recognize me." "Recognize? You girl, you sound like you're a mite daft in the head." "That's what my mama says, too. But there's nothing I can do about it. I often have dreams about him looking for me all over the globe and not being able to find me." "Dreams? You've been dreaming here, too?" "Yes, twice already. Once it seemed I was walking in a huge garden, and he was there too. Only there was no way we could approach each other. It seemed as though I could hear his voice calling to me over and over, 'Where are you? Where are you?'" "You heard? A voice? You know, you probably ought to go see a doctor, girl. What is all this about an intended being pounded in your head to a point where you're even hearing voices in your dreams?" "Sometimes I dream that I lived with him once, a long, long time ago. We had children and grandchildren." "Once upon a time. Well, girl, next thing you be telling me is you can say what he looked like." "Yes, I can. He's half a head taller than me, with light brown hair and hazel eyes, and a kindly smile, only a little gap between two of his teeth. He walks in a proper, dignified fashion." "A gap between his teeth? His walk? But what if someone else should come?" "They've come. My mom was always after me about that at home, saying that my dreams will keep me an old maid forever." "An old maid. Of course, an old maid. You'll never find your bloke that way. Not with those dreams of yours. You know, girl, I will tell you something. Here, take my rainbow shawl, put it over your shoulders, and tie it just a little more fashionably. And go walk along the embankment later tonight." "Thank you, Granny, for your concern. But I can't cover my blouse with a shawl. See, I did the embroidery myself. It came to me in a dream. and it seems as though at some time in the past I was wearing this embroidered blouse when I was taking a stroll with my intended in the garden. Embroidered. Taking a stroll. Well, girl, God be your judge. There's some milk there on the table, and I've made scones. Have a bite to eat. I'll just scoot to my neighbor's for a bit. The old woman hobbled off with a groan, muttering all the while to herself, "She will put me in my grave yet. I must be daft. I took her in, now I cannot help but worry about her. I'll go talk to my neighbor's son, see if he'll show her some attention. Yes, he'll show her some attention. He's dark-haired. She wants light brown with a gap between his teeth, but there's nobody like that among my neighbors. She will put me in my grave." That morning, Luba began wandering around the public garden. She picked up a pirozok, footnote, a Russian pastry with meat, vegetable, or fruit filling, akin to a Ukrainian pierogi. She picked up a pirozok with potato filling for lunch. As she was walking past a restaurant, a group of men were just coming out of the door. They were laughing and chatting away in some foreign tongue. When they saw Luba, they spoke to her in their own language. Luba didn't understand and walked on past. Right off, the men began talking with other girls. Then all of a sudden, without turning around, she could feel someone detach himself from the group of cheerful foreigners and come after her. She knew for certain that she was his specific target. She even counted his footsteps without quickening her own pace, and for some reason her heart started to tremble. She could feel his breath behind her, and all at once the foreigner began addressing her in a language she could not understand. "Mit dir, dein wunderschön Gotten, dürft ich den ewigen Raum der Liebe schaffen." Luba could not decipher the German words, but for some reason she found herself whispering, "I'm ready to help you in your grand co-creation." And she turned around to look at the stranger. There before her stood a young man, half a head taller than she, light brown hair, hazel eyes, a kindly smile, and a small gap between the two of his teeth. He held out his arms to Luba, and without realizing quite what she was doing, Luba snuggled her head against his chest. He hugged her trembling body as though he had known her for an eternity. The unseen planets in the heavens began to quiver for joy. How many events did they need to create to arrange the threads of destinies for the ages? But it worked. They met, and they embraced. Radomir, with his marvelous Lubomila, I'm just going to assume that's how you pronounce her name. Lubomila, I don't know. Mila. Even if they don't remember the past, their souls will create a future to marvel at. People on the beach couldn't figure out why the young couple were creating some kind of design or sketch in the sand. They were speaking different languages, but it seemed as though they understood each other. First, they would discuss the drawing, then argue a bit, then all of a sudden come to an ecstatic agreement. Carried away, as they were with the drawing, Mila and Radomir did not know either that they were sketching in the sand a design of the splendid family domain which they had created just before their wedding, 5,000 years earlier. "There should be a pond here, a round one," said Radomir in his own language, and dug a little round hole in the sand to represent a pond. "But not that shape," whispered Mila. "It should definitely be oval," she countered, changing the round hole into an oval shape. "Yes, exactly. An oval pond is much better," Radomir agreed, as though suddenly remembering something. That evening, they came back to the house where Mila was staying. She asked her elderly landlady permission for her companion to drop in for the evening. The landlady agreed. With a smile on her face, Mila drifted off to sleep in the hammock, while he sat there on the bench, gently rocking the hammock and delicately fending off flies with a small tree branch. and he sang something very, very soft. From a window in the house, the old woman peered at them through a crack in the curtain until just before dawn. In the morning, on the little table in front of the house stood milk and scones, covered with a white linen tablecloth. There was also a note, written in an aging hand. Mila read it aloud. "I've gone away on errands. I will not be back for a couple of days. Look after the house. To look after it, stay in my big room. There's food in a fridge." Mila and Radomir left town together. But where did they go? The ages will show where their family line will be reborn.